We're going to hear from a member of Christy's Smith staff, our new assembly person, Ryan Valencia.
Good evening, everybody. I got really excited. He said party homes, and I'm like, oh, like party homes? You can rent those? No. Apparently not. Hey, that's a tagline. Well, thank you guys very much for that presentation. That was very informative, as well as for hosting us here today. A special shout out to Mr. Alan Ferdman for the invitation to be here. My name is Ryan Valencia. Yes, like the area of our city. But despite that, I'm actually not from Santa Clarita. I'm from the other valley in our assembly district, and that's Simi Valley. So I'm just about 40 minutes from here, but this is my hometown district, and I'm very honored to serve as district director for the 30th Assembly District. As district director, it means that I head the staff here locally. So working with our chief of staff up in Sacramento to serve our constituents here. For those not aware, the 30th Assembly District, represents here through Agua Dulce, CCAC, down through Santa Clarita Valley to San Fernando Valley. Our border's Devonshire. We go that down south, and then we go out to Simi Valley, the entirety of that city. So representing both pieces of LA County and Ventura County. So I do oversee all the staff, so responsible for the entire district. However, we do in our staff have specific geographic areas. So for here in Canyon Country, we do have two folks. Andrew Taban, who's sitting back there, is one of our field representatives here, as well as Michelle Campbell. So those two will be covering the Santa Clarita Valley. And we will have a fourth staffer who will be starting at the end of the month, and they'll be covering the San Fernando Valley, but each geographic area has their specific person. So we are now hired up in the Capitol and in the district office. So we have 4 people up in the Capitol office as well. That's our chief of staff, our legislative director, our legislative aide, as well as our scheduler. But if there's any scheduling needs that you need, always feel free to reach out to Andrew Taban. That's his other responsibility, is making sure I know where to go or the member knows where to go. You probably see a lot of pictures where we try to get to as many things as possible per week. Typically the member flies in on Thursdays. So if you do find events that you would like to see her at, please send it over to us. But she splits her time Monday to Thursday in Sacramento, and then she has to fly back here. So in terms of our district office, it is located in Santa Clarita. If you have ever been to Assemblymember Acosta or Wilk's office when he was in the Assembly, it is the exact same office. It's the third generation of the Assembly office. That's off of Magic Mountain Parkway. It's on Turney Road. So that's 27441 Turney Road, Suite 160. And I actually have brochures that I put on the back table. That way you have that address if you need it. The phone number's on there. There's social media and email contact, whatever you need. And then you can also reach us on our website. So eventually, though, we are doing mobile office hours throughout the district. I have already started ones in Simi Valley, eventually San Fernando Valley, and we want to get out to Castaic and Agua Dulce as well. But the purpose of our district office mainly is to serve you and hear what you have to say. I think often we're just viewed as the spokespeople for the assembly member. Well, it's kind of reverse as well. We take the comments and feedback that you have, your issues that you have, and we take them up to Sacramento. The first few months, I was meeting with stakeholders across the district, taking vicious notes so that I can send up at Sacramento, whether it was budget asks of things we need to fund in the district, or issues from city councilors that they want to take up to Sacramento. All those types of things we've been working pretty actively on, and the assembly members have been really hard at work at trying to meet those asks. So other examples of things that we do in the district office, casework is a large amount of what we do. As you can imagine, in the 5th largest economy, there's a lot of bureaucracy and complexities in Sacramento. So a lot of people have problems dealing with state agencies, and we hear you loud and clear. We hear your DMV calls loud and clear, and so we take those calls, and we want to help you. We want to help you navigate those situations. So that's the other reason you would call our district office specifically. We have a caseworker that works in there, but we all take some load of casework to help you navigate those, whether it's the DMV, EDD, what have you. We can help you navigate those issues. So if you don't know about the Assembly member, she was just elected for her first term in November. So she did get sworn in on December 3rd, and so it's been a lot of orientation these past few months, as well as getting assigned to certain committees. She was appointed to 5 committees. She's one of 2 freshmen that I got a chair appointment. She's chairing the Joint Legislative Committee on Emergency Management, something that I think is very important to our community, especially with the fires that occurred last year and, well, this year with Woolsey that affected our town of Simi Valley. Additionally, she sits on the Committee on Jobs, the Economy, and Economic Development. She sits on the Education Committee. She sits on Accountability and Administrative Review. The equivalent for that at the federal government level would be the Oversight Committee. So really making sure that our state agencies are being accountable. As well as the last committee is Consumer Protection and Privacy. So it's a pretty big scope of them. We almost got every single committee that we asked for, with the exception of public safety, but I feel as though we'll be able to accomplish a lot on emergency management as well. We just wrapped up a very busy season, and that's trying to submit our bills as quickly as possible and as thoroughly as possible. As you can imagine, in such a large legislature, there are a lot of bills. It can reach up to 3,000, 4,000 bills that get introduced. So I think in the Assembly we're somewhere around 2,500. I don't remember the exact count, but those don't always reach the light of day. Some committees choose not to hear certain bills, so sometimes you hear of certain bills that, oh man, this is going to be a huge target for us. Often those don't see the light of day. Or right now is amendment season in March, so you can really change the full nature of a bill from its original intention into a completely different bill dealing with a completely different issue, and we've seen that before. But our specific update for our committees, we did introduce 14 bills specifically that the Assembly member introduced, 9 of which are education bills. We're very passionate about education. The member, as you might know, was the president of the Newhall School Board. She's from here in Santa Clarita, graduated from Hart High School. I think she was student body president there, went to College of the Canyons before she went to UCLA, and then became a policy analyst for the U.S. Department of Education. So education is a big part of her bill package. One bill, but outside of education, there's a number of bills that we really care about. One bill in particular is AB 629, which creates parity for human trafficking victims in CAL-VCP. That's the California Victims Compensation Program, to give victims an opportunity to receive compensation for loss of income during their days in being trafficked. Other bills include AB 1637, which automatically returns unclaimed property dollars from the state controller's office in Sacramento, returns it back to local and state agencies without the need to fill out all the paperwork there. Additionally, there's a number of bills that she's co-authoring. One that we're very excited about is AB 308. And this is to cut the annual franchise tax for small businesses and micro businesses. As you might know, some people are reluctant from turning into independent contractors to small businesses. Small businesses currently have to, mandated by the state, to pay $800 at least in the franchise tax. So this would actually slash for small businesses that in half to $400, and for micro businesses down to $100. Additionally, there's AB 720, which is has to do with our public safety academies that occurred on community colleges. So it fixes the funding for instructional service agreements for public safety on community college campuses, including a College of the Canyons. What the issue has been is that the state partners up with community colleges to have these academies, for example, for the sheriffs here in LA County. And so they had this promise of this 100% funding on their end and their state commitment. But due to a new funding formula, that proportion has gone down. They want to get it down to 60% of the commitment that they had made. So this is actually fixing that to make sure that it's restored to that 100% funding, because College of the Canyons currently is getting shortchanged in the future in the next 3 years in terms of the commitments by the state. So we do want to make sure that, because there are a number of requirements that our police officers are mandated to take in terms of education programs, whether it's their post certificates or continuing education, a number of programs, and so they have to go to these community college programs, and unless they receive that funding, it gets really difficult to provide those resources to our public safety officials. So we are excited for that. So we will be taking a pretty active role, obviously, as being the chair of the Emergency Management Committee, and there'll be a number of hearings, both in Northern California and bringing them down to Southern California. And we'll be looking to some crucial questions, especially in terms of alert systems in coordination with local agencies. There was a lot of confusion, I think, in some of the local recent fires as to which agencies to pay attention to and which alert systems. You know, we had people on the border of Ventura County and LA County, people that actually lived in Ventura County looking at LA County and taking that information and those evacuation orders instead of their actual local fire department. So we really need to work on coordination of strategically thinking about these types of things. Additionally, big concerns that have come into our district office that we raised up to Sacramento and that we want to take a look at is insurance coverage. Because there are more and more insurance companies that will not be underwriting due to just being in a fire zone, which in California means you live in California. And so it's, you know, as we approach not having fire season anymore, this is fires year round. That's the new normal. This is going to create a huge problem. And so there has been calls to our office already that have said they're not renewing my coverage. You know, in just a few months, they just said, nope, we're not renewing it. You live in CCAC. And even though they live near water, but we're not going to renew that. So that's going to be something that we're going to have to take a really big look at. Obviously, beyond just our legislative package, we're entering budget season. We have to have a budget by June. That's mandated in the California Constitution. We have a new governor, Governor Newsom, and he's proposed his budget. Some of the central pillars that he has highlighted include cost crises, which include housing and homelessness, a focus on early education, childhood education programs, K through 12 education, and higher education. So, and we hear a lot about health insurance as well. So these are kind of the highlights that the governor wants to focus on, as well as he has been talking a lot about budgetary resiliency, made some initial billion-dollar investments in eliminating outstanding budgetary debt, as well as deferrals. He put $4.8 billion to build reserves, and then $4.8 billion to pay down unfunded retirement liabilities as well, so CalSTRS and CalPERS. But anyways, sorry, that was long-winded. but really, our district, and I'll get into questions right now, but like I've said, our primary responsibility is to you, to listening to you and taking those notes up to Sacramento. We ran a campaign that was focused on being district-minded, and that's what it will continue to be. So my job and my staff's job is to quite literally write down the notes of what's coming into the district office in terms of phone calls and mail and emails. So please make sure to submit those. And just to highlight some events that are coming up, we have some community coffee talks where you can quite literally show up and talk to the assemblywoman one-on-one. Well, not one-on-one. There's going to be other people probably that show up besides you, but trying to answer whatever questions you might have on your mind. And there's comment cards as well. If you want to mail those in, you're always welcome to do that. So one in CCAC on May 11th. And then one here in Santa Clarita on May 25th. Those are 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. The Santa Clarita one will be at Roast and Perk on Soledad Canyon. So with that, I'll try to answer as many questions as I can. I know we're running a little bit behind.
What's your background?
I'm well.
Kind of young.
Yes, I am quite young. I'm the youngest district director in the legislature, actually. But I come from Simi Valley, been active out there. I'm a board member with the Simi Valley Chamber of Commerce, board member with Historical Society. Been serving on community council since I was 15. That's when I was first appointed to the Simi Valley Youth Council. So have been pretty active sit on the homelessness task force, a number of Simi Valley related things, so I'm sorry I'm not from Santa Clarita. But professionally, after graduating from college, returned back to Simi Valley, where I want to live for the rest of my life. And I'm professionally a political consultant, so running campaigns.
Did you run her campaign?
I ran her campaign in 2018. I was the campaign manager. Mm-hmm.
What is Christy Smith's opinion of the bullet train?
Well, she has, and she said this on the campaign trail, she's continued her position. We're not big fans. In fact, we were encouraging the end of the Governor Brown's project as is and would rather see that investment here locally. We've been talking pretty actively with Supervisor Barger. What we would like to see is investment in the AV line specifically.
Let's give him a big hand, guys.
Oh, well, I know Mr. Petzold has questions, so.
No,
No, you go ahead.
the state has what they call a mobile home residency law as a code,
Mm-hmm.
and we're having the city back away from trying to interpret that. Is there a way that we can come to your office and have you help us interpret some of those rules?
We're here to do that. Whatever in terms of navigating state law and state agencies, absolutely, we're here to do that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And I know HCD specifically, we've had a number of mobile home issues recently, and that's who we primarily work with. So we have a direct government liaison to work with that on.
Trying to think of what to ask. But
I don't know. As I mentioned, there's thousands of bills. So,
as I've learned, state assembly members are allowed to ask for opinions of the Attorney General.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with that at all?
No, not quite. Mm-mm.
So, I don't want to take up time tonight to talk, but I appreciate your coming down here with Andrew, and you seem like a friendly guy.
Oh, thank you. I try to be. Well, and I can give you my business card as well, and it has my phone number, my email. If you ever want to come into the office, if you ever want to grab coffee, I'm always welcome to do that as well. I'm here every single day pretty much, except when I have to be and see me for things.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, sure thing.
Just from going to some school board member meetings around here, everybody seems to be sweating the fact that tax revenues seem to be down in Sacramento. Mm-hmm. And I'm hearing, 5 to 6%, or everybody's. What are you hearing about tax revenues coming in and how that might affect the budgeting process?
Well, I know I'm not sure about revenue specifically. I know that the governor's proposed budget is pretty clear in terms of he wants to increase significant spending in K through 12. As to what avenues that exactly comes from, I'm not quite sure. I don't have an answer for you directly, but I know that it's supposedly record high spending in education. Despite the majority of our budget going towards education, we're still in the bottom 10 in terms of per pupil spending for K through 12 education in the country, and so that's something that we do want to fix, and that's a priority. But that's a great question. I don't quite have the answer.
Well, let's give the gentleman a big hand.
Thank you. And I don't really have too many flyers, but I'll leave them on the back for you, for the 3 that I have.